There are roughly about 66 million people living in the UK, and 700,000 of them are living with a hidden disability, blind to many eyes and deaf to many ears. That invisible disability is called autism. Autism is a lifelong developmental disorder that affects how people perceive and see the world. It also greatly affects how they interact with others. We as a community can make it much more easier for them by understanding what it may be like for them. Autism affects 1 in 100 people. If you include their families, it's part of daily life for 2.8 million people. Living with autism is not a tragedy. However, it is not easy, but we as a community can make it so much easier for them and their family by simply understanding. My name is Michael, and I have grown up around autism my entire life. Having 4 brothers with autism and a stepfather with Asperger's, I know my fair share of what the world of autism has to offer. Some major differences within the autistic spectrum are our sensory differences. Some people with autism have oversensitive reactions to sight, sound, touch, and taste, which can vary between each individual. One thing is certain though, when their sensory experience becomes overwhelming, it can cause to have meltdowns. Meltdown is an intense response to an overwhelming situation, which is commonly mistaken for a temper tantrum. This is not the same though, it's a huge misunderstanding. Because of their condition, it makes it much more difficult for them to express how they're feeling in an appropriate way. However, we can make them feel at ease by minimizing their triggers by altering the environment. Despite autism being more commonly known amongst the public, it's still an ever-expanding subject with new research surfacing every day. Out of interest, I've created a survey to challenge the public's common knowledge. In this survey, I have mixed myths with facts to see if the public knows the truth, and the answers were shocking. The data that I've collected from this survey conveys that 60% of people don't recognise autism as a learning disability, which is tremendously alarming as it proves the majority of people in the UK are overlooking autism as a larger spectrum. Now that we tested the public's knowledge, it's time to go eye to eye with autism, and who better to question than parents with experience within the world of autism.
Right, my name is Vanessa Davis and I've got a child with ADHD.
When did your child get diagnosed and what was the process like?
My child got diagnosed when he was 6.5.
Diagnosing for Ashley was pretty hard. He didn't get diagnosed until he was 15 years old.
He showed signs at 20 months old, but they wouldn't diagnose, 20 weeks old, but they wouldn't diagnose it until he was 7 years of age.
And he was in a school setting at primary school and they just realised his behaviour was just a little bit apparently erratic and quite hyper and doing things he shouldn't do, he couldn't sit still, sort of thing.
The process was long and hard. No one believes you.
Oh yes, you could see what he was doing, and I started to read up a lot about autism, and that's how I've learnt about Ian's needs.
They told me that they've assessed him and he's got something called ADHD and I didn't have a clue what that was. I thought, my child's fine, there's nothing wrong with my child because, see, I have him in a general sense at home and it, to me, he was normal, but at school he couldn't actually, when it was going through sort of like the consecutive days at school, he couldn't really keep still, so it was an issue for them. But then after that diagnosis, I began to see a few more changes because I suppose things don't change for someone who's got ADHD.
I did realise something was different. When Ash was in primary school, the teacher would come out and say, Ash's had a little bit of an upset day today. Which means, looking back now, means a mini meltdown, where something has gone wrong, someone has upset him. He's like, okay, he'll start again tomorrow. After Ash's mini meltdowns, he gets upset, emotionally, socially. He's got low self-esteem. It gives him low self-esteem.
Finally, I found someone who understood me and made me realise it wasn't all my head. All the things I've been going through, they were familiar with children on the spectrum of autistic traits, so it was a massive support.
I've been talking to parents who are trying to get children diagnosed, but I've learned and picked up through school, and now he's in college. I'm learning more every day, so I have to sign to Ian because Ian's non-verbal.
I'd say be patient, you're not alone, and look on the website, see if there's any groups local to you that you can go to and get that support.
Living with autism is not a tragedy, however, it is not easy, but we as a community can make it so much easier for them and their family members by simply understanding.